Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Historical Commission meeting. It is Tuesday, February 19th, and it's 6:30. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. We'll start with a roll call. Can you just state your name for the record, please?
Joyce Rodrigues, present.
Kristen Cantera Olivera.
Patty Rico, present.
Larry Dykes.
Ruben Amaral.
And we have
Harry A. Ashcroft.
clerk. We're missing two members. We're missing Connie Sewell and Richard Mancini. Okay, so we have the minutes from December 18th, 2018. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to amend the minutes, correct?
Okay,
To correct the roll call when Joyce Rodrigues was present.
okay. I have a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now we need to approve them.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, motion to approve the minutes. I'm sorry.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. B, correspondence. So we have several letters, emails and things that I had gotten. The first one was a letter of support for the Lincoln School on Pine Street. So this was basically just, they were looking for an updated letter. We had sent them one before from Mass Historical Commission for their tax credit. So all they were looking for was an updated letter for that, so I did send that. And I also, I did get a request for a letter of support for the same thing from Mass Historical Commission for the Bradford Durfee Textile School at 64 Durfee Street, and we have sent that in the past, so this was just an updated letter that they needed for that. Now, they are also looking for a letter of support from us for the Durfee Textiles building for CPA, because they did submit an application, and so what they're looking for is just a letter of support from us stating that we give our support because the CPA wants letters. If it's a historical preservation project, then they want the Historical Commission to be on board with that. So that's all they're looking for, is just a letter of support for that project. So can I get a motion to send a letter?
Motion to send the letter.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I will send a letter. Now, the next item on the agenda is a letter of support for a CPA application by Anton Dias for the Sanborn maps. Now, this is the same, it's the same application, the same type of project that he did the last time, where we had sent a letter of support for that. It's just there are more maps that he's looking to have done, so he just needs an updated letter of support. Basically, it's a new project, but it's actually for the same thing that we had voted on previously, to send a letter of support for the Sanborn maps, which, as you know, we use pretty regularly.
Sure.
So, can I get a motion on that?
I'll make a motion
I'll second the motion.
What's your motion?
for the Sanborn maps for Tony Diaz with CPA.
Thank you. Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I will send the letter. Now, we'll take these one at a time. So I also did receive a request from Tony Cadero, and he has 2 buildings. And we did actually send letters for this from to Mass Historical Commission, because he was looking for historic tax credits on these, so he did send us this information before, but he's also looking for a letter now for the CPA as well, because he has his project that he's working on in the Benjamin and Nathan building, and that's to put residential apartments up on the top 2 floors. So he would like a letter for that. We have 2 projects, so we'll do one at a time. So the first one is going to be for the Benjamin and Nathan building, because it will have to be 2 separate letters. Any thoughts, discussion, anything?
And those are apartments, you say?
Yeah, the downstairs he's keeping as commercial, and then the top 2, I believe it's the top 2 floors on that building, or maybe the top 3 he wants to put residential. But he already has done extensive work on the outside of the building, and now he's going to renovate the inside of the building to historic standards. And he's going to do more work to the outside as well.
I make a motion to provide a letter of support for this project, being that he has other, he's been within the historical guidelines in other projects.
Absolutely, he's done some great.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. I will write that letter. I just realized I gotta turn my phone down because it's beeping. Okay, now the next letter of support is also from Tony Cadero, and that's his building at 1030 3rd Street, which is the trolley building. That's where I believe it's the Mastery Academy
Okay.
is, I believe that's the name of the school. So it's where the old Sky Lounge was. So he's also looking for that building to put apartments in the top 2 floors. He's going to make that residential as well. So, I mean, he's got some nice plans for the whole area itself, so.
I would assume those are not like fixed income or anything. They're just open to like luxury apartments, or just, I don't know much about.
It's gonna be, both of them are gonna be market rate housing,
Okay,
and I
market.
believe there is going to be a small number of lower income, or just general income and then market rate.
Yeah, I'm not expecting.
It's mostly, it's mostly market rate housing. But everything will be to standard, Secretary of Interior standards. He's well aware of all of that. So.
I make a motion to provide that letter of support for the trolley building project.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and send the letter. The next letter of support is from Charles and Gloria Jacobson for 77 Freedom Street, and they are here. So I'd like to invite them to come down and just give us a little information, because I know this is one of the projects that we're not really familiar with yet, so but they might. And I know I did send everybody the information, so if you had any questions for them.
I think we have the packet. This is the building. It's similar to the one down on North Main Street?
Yeah, the Fire Museum.
Right.
Just for the record, can you state your name and address?
Charles and Gloria Jacobson at 388 Rock Street is our residence.
Okay.
River. Okay.
Welcome. So I did send everybody a copy of the CPA application and what you were looking to do. So I thought maybe if you just wanted to give us a quick little synopsis of that, and then if anybody has any questions.
This building I acquired 32 years ago from the city. It had been abandoned for 35 years. There was spots, couldn't even walk in. Kids, which is typical of any abandoned building, they would throw rocks in it and so on. I just had to have it, and Gloria was my support.
Well, the pigeons liked it, they lived in it for a long time.
Yeah, the pigeons, and there were 3 raccoons too. I had to
Yeah.
ask permission to get them out.
We had to fix the raccoons. So,
We've done, I had the okay to do 7 apartments from when we got our variance. 91 times turned kind of sour. I was very fortunate to keep the building because of time. I did 3 apartments before I had to say, whoa. I did 1 apartment 5 years later. We have a total of 4 apartments completed and 3 more to go. I'm too old and my body doesn't work very good to continue on, so my son and son-in-law will be able to play with that. They got all the creamy stuff and the nice stuff to do, meaning the unique stuff. We dug out a gas tank, 21E issue, in the backyard. It came out clean. The city didn't want nothing to do with it. They wanted, so I had suggested that they help dig it out. No. So I had a taste for the building so bad that I was willing to invest $2,500 to bring that tank out. And if it was clean, good for me. If it was not, I gave $2,500 to find out that I wasn't liable for the building with that gas leakage, if there was any, which there wasn't. So that was kind of, iffy situation. I'm just a little guy. My wife we both work for wages, so we're not a contractor as such. But I've restored a few other old buildings just at my own pace and have enjoyed it very much. We have, these apartments are, I know 10 different contractors would have done that 10 different ways. They would have lowered the ceilings and all this, but we have the 14-foot high ceilings that we left. I spent extensive time or money on repointing 3/4 of it back then. The part that I'm asking for now is the west exposure, which I did not do. And
and the windows all need help again. Even the ones we did all need help, so. I mean, it's been 30 years, so.
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
I kind of forget that, that, oh man, I just think that they should go on forever, but no, they don't.
Well, I mean, it was built very well to begin with,
Yeah.
so,
Brick is better.
yeah.
I've been by it, it's a beautiful,
And well, girls are beautiful, so that's probably the wrong choice of word that I would say.
it's a handsome building.
Okay.
How do you know it's a boy?
That's right, that's right.
What was this building originally?
It was built in 1873 when the Fire Museum and the one on Pleasant Street by U-Haul, are you familiar with that fire station? Alan Amro bought it. The 3 of them were built the same year. Same exact plan. They are, everything's the same thing.
I think some of the towers were different.
So it
A
was
little
a
bit.
fire station?
Yes.
Correct.
And police station,
Okay, so the okay.
yeah.
And they had a partying wall. They were 2 separate businesses. They were not clumped together.
And there's a
They were
stable
in the
in the back.
same building?
Yes,
Correct.
right. And the
Correct.
stable in the back for the horses, so.
Of which they had no grazing. The horses had hay and grain. They were fed really good, meaning there was not a lot of extra square footage for them to chew grass.
I don't know what they did with the horses.
No, they, the
No
horses
idea.
lasted,
I know, honestly.
Great, I love the banter, it's wonderful.
I have no idea what I thought about that. I would even think the police department had horses, didn't they? How would
I would assume so.
how would they have gotten around, so.
in
Anyway,
the
it's great.
20s is when Fall River accepted the motor vehicles. The horses were still in charge in the early 20s, all that time.
And what year was this built?
1873.
So there were no.
No, there was nothing, any other way to get around except.
cars.
Correct, correct.
Anyway, it's a unique building, and we're looking forward to continuing on
Yeah, absolutely.
with fixing it up.
I still get excited coming up to it when I do with the granite. It's just so
It's an interesting.
It is,
handsome.
It's impressive, it is, and especially in that area. There are some older houses, but there's a lot of vinyl siding and, you know, you've got the mills that.
Yeah, a couple blocks
further-
away,
yeah,
correct.
But it's just a nice presence in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm, in the
It's
residential neighborhood,
nestled in the midst of the neighborhood where it's all residents.
yeah.
Right.
Nothing else. It's between Broadway and South Main. It's halfway between the two of them. It's only 2 blocks long, Freedom is. The pigeons, there was one example of the doors that were ajar for so long. They had cruised in and out of there for decades, and I lie not. There was cones of shit. No, that's right. It just, that same pigeon sat in the same spot, and it just built up that tall.
Wow.
But it was an abandoned building, so what would you expect?
But it was on the city rolls, was it not?
Yes, the city
As an
still.
abandoned building.
Oh, wow.
Correct. Actually,
Nothing was moving forward on it.
later, you mean in the 50s?
Amazing, yeah.
No,
In 54, they built the new fire station at Father Kelly Park. That's when this was abandoned. And it was abandoned pretty much, meaning the tree department still used it just to park, but there was absolutely nothing for maintenance that was done on it. Meaning,
no, the roof leaked, everything, yeah.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's what happens with a lot of the buildings
true.
now, and so, I mean, this is a prime example of somebody that comes along and saves one of the old buildings in the city, and so.
It really wasn't any effort. I enjoyed the opportunity, and I still find it hard to believe just a little guy like myself and my wife end up with such a prestigious building that, that
We
was.
still got paint on our hands from it.
Yeah, I was over there working on an apartment today to
Yep.
clean up. So I think that's I can go on forever. I could talk for an hour. How much time you got?
We won't make you do that.
So that brings us up to date.
Do you have any other questions, or anything?
Thank you, guys.
I think you guys are great.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have
honestly, I thank you
a lot
for,
of buildings that could use your attention.
Well,
Yeah.
all right. Do you want me to pat myself on the back?
Yes.
yes.
We bought the school department building on Rock Street and Walnut. Are you familiar with where the school department is now? Kitty Corner on the water side is the building that we bought in '86 from the city.
The one you live in?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
And that too was abandoned, it had a fire in it when we bought it.
Wow, and that's
A
so
dis-
cool in there.
disgruntled person who got laid off when they moved. This, what they figure, they went in and there was a desk and a bunch of papers, and they started a fire right at the base of the stairway. And being a brick building with the fire stops and everything, it just smoldered. As a matter of fact, one of the neighbors said there was so much smoke bubbling out of, not flames, just smoke. It had just bubbled and bubbled and bubbled.
Yeah.
But I had extensive damage to the stairway and some of the wainscoting, but basically nothing else. And that was the same thing. It was a sealed bid from the,
City, yeah.
that you had to bid on
Yeah.
and give your deposit, as was the fire station, the same thing. You had to give a deposit and have plans and proposals for what you were planning on doing with it. And then there was another home that we bought at auction too in a Sonnet in '76. It was from the church. So, and that building was built in 1797. And we restored and lived in that for 10 years before we got smitten by Rock Street. So that's the 3 properties that we have, and put lots of time and love into it. And-
Lifelong love affair with historical buildings.
Yeah.
Correct, and we still haven't outgone it. Now, I have to turn it over to Larry because he's got the dynamite house on Rock Street now.
He's carrying the torch. We
Yeah.
just hope that, you know, you continue to inspire other people in the community, because I know I've had people see you with the car and say, oh, that's the guy with the car.
Yeah, I'm a crazy old guy with,
And we just, it's nice, I mean, I know as, for what we do, this is what we kind of are passionate about, is to know that there are people like you out there doing this, so.
I was involved with Jim Soul when we started the Preservation Society.
Yeah.
And we've gone through different people. We still have, well, Chris, you were involved with us too through the years and all that. And Larry touched base with us a little bit too. But I guess we've all got our tasks to do, and now we've got the Preservation Society has a new task, as you all know, the one on Pine Street.
Yep.
So
We're getting there.
the old
Getting
houses are still in town and available to put time into
We
it.
want to save them all,
Yeah, I know, and that's hard,
Yeah.
very difficult,
I know.
very difficult. So I thank you for being able to express our enthusiasm, and it isn't me only. Wifey is just as
Absolutely.
important as I
And
am.
we really appreciate your coming and talking to us,
Absolutely.
Okay.
so, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? We're all set?
That's it.
All right.
Thank you so much.
So we,
I definitely make a motion to provide a letter of support for this project.
Okay, I have a motion.
A second.
I have a second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, I'll get that letter,
Okay.
so we'll have it by next week.
Thank you so
All
much.
right.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We can do that.
Now, I also received a request for a letter of support for a CPI application from the Marine Museum. Did you want to?
Sure.
No? Okay.
Hi guys. I'm Elizabeth. I am the Director of Collections at Battleship Cove and the Maritime Museum. I don't have stories about pitch and poop, but I don't know how I can follow that one up. So we are applying for CPA funds for the Maritime Museum, formerly known as the Marine Museum at 70 Water Street. We are looking for funds to conduct a feasibility survey for an HVAC installation. So with this, we would be working with local architectural firms where they would work with myself and our facilities director to create plans of the building that would help us find an HVAC company to purchase and hopefully install in later phases an HVAC system that will help us keep the historic envelope as authentic as possible. The reason why we're looking for an HVAC system, and the funds that we're asking for is just for the feasibility study, not for the actual purchasing and installation. But the reason why we're looking for an HVAC system is because the building is home to 30,000 plus objects, artifacts, archives, all about Fall River's maritime heritage, a little bit more collections about the south coast of New England's maritime heritage, and also a spattering of Titanic artifacts and archives. And so at the moment, in our collection storage, there's no temperature control. In the wintertime, it's the same temperature in there as it is outside. In the summertime, it's actually hotter because the building is a brick exterior, and it feels like a pizza oven in there some days. And I come out as greasy as a pizza some days, so I can be testament to that. So, we all know it's not the prime environment for artifact restoration and preservation, and we really want to make sure that these collections are preserved as long as possible. So, we need to do our due diligence and look for an HVAC system to help us with that. So we realize that it's a very multi-phase type of project. We have a very large building. We have an exhibit floor on the bottom floor. Second floor is collection storage in one half of the building. So that's what we're looking for. We understand that it's a long phase project and we don't want to put the cart before the horse. We need to have the plans in place and the designs in place, so we're looking for funds for the horse, yes. So, that's it in a nutshell.
I think it should have been done years ago.
Agreed. Agreed.
I'm familiar with the building,
Mhm.
familiar with the Marine Museum, or now the
Maritime, yep.
Maritime Museum, but it should have been done years ago, so hats off to
Agreed.
you.
Thank you. Yep.
So I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I see the total project cost is 68.3.
Yep.
But you're requesting 76, so is that just for like padding overages or?
10%
time?
contingency.
Okay.
That's a requirement for the application.
Okay, thank you.
Got to be prepared. So yeah, and we've been working with a few architectural firms in the local area. We have, luckily, our predecessors at the museum have kept many plans, so we have great drawings of the building, so we know what we're working with, especially for electricity and all that stuff, so sort of got those steps in place. Thank goodness.
Any other questions?
I think this is essential to keeping up the materials. Seems like it's already been long overdue.
Yes.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes,
Yes. Get the
yes.
ball rolling, because I'm sure this is not a quick process either, so.
Nope.
I make a motion to provide the letter of support that they need for the Maritime Museum.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Motion carries, I will get a letter ready for you.
Okay.
I'll send it.
Thank you. Thanks, folks.
Okay, the last correspondence under this section was from Mass DOT Highway Division. I sent this around. So when I don't know what you all thought, but I mean, I looked at this and it didn't seem that it was going to impact anything in any way. So they were looking for our input on it, if we had any input, and I personally don't have any. I don't know if anybody else had anything. I mean, if not, we don't need to do anything at all. So this was just, okay, so. Okay, moving on, we have budget, expenditures, gifts, and donations. We have none. And opening bank account, we're still, you know.
Yeah, I haven't been down there. I thought we were gonna, you and I think have to go down there.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, make it happen. Little girl power.
Maybe I could do that. Are you here Friday?
It's up to you. Sure
Either
can.
tomorrow or Friday, because I'm on vacation this week, so.
I know you will.
Okay.
Jelly.
Don't be, it's not that great. Okay. And Karen and I will work on that. Okay, citizen input. Do I have any citizen input? Okay. Moving on, public hearings and determinations, we have none. Number 7, notice of intent to demolish structure. So, I'll keep this on here because Pilgrim Mill at 847 Pleasant Street, nothing has still been done. It's still standing, thankfully. It expired, the 6-month delay expired a year ago in September of 2017. Building's still going strong. Yay, that's what we want to see.
Absolutely.
On to B, Immaculate Conception Church and properties at 15 Thomas Street. I don't know if anybody has had the chance to see it, but it is down. And their demolition delay expired in January, and they moved really quickly on it, and it's down. And I did get a chance to go by and take some pictures during the process as they were demolishing it, and it was very sad.
Very sad indeed.
Very sad. It was personally, for me, it was sad because that was when I was growing up, that was my church, so.
I had never
That
seen the
was
interior, and it was actually such a surprise to me because it's so different than any of the other churches that I
It
had
was
seen in
very
Fall River.
different.
And so I was actually very personally sad that I had never gone in there. And I think a lot of people who probably grown up in Fall River and I haven't always lived here, they haven't had the opportunity to go into a lot of these buildings, or you just don't think about it. And it would be nice to almost, I mean, obviously there's a lot of things the city needs more than people, but like a tour of historic buildings, pushing that a little bit more so people can get behind the beauty that they don't even know exists in the city, because I think a lot of it is hidden, and other cities locally in the region do a slightly better job at bringing those to the forefront. And I think that's something that we could, you know, think about in order to do that.
Agreed. Well, one of the things that I think, maybe one of the only good things to come out of something so horrible is that it is giving more visibility to some of these buildings, like the churches and some of the older historic buildings, because now people are starting to realize, hey, wait a minute, they're knocking down churches. And then I know on social media there's a lot of pictures that people are posting, so there's a lot more talk that's generated by that. So people are becoming more aware, and I think now with this all happening, and then with our plan with our PowerPoint presentation to actually go into the neighborhoods, I think this is actually going to give us a good opportunity, because now people really are more aware of, hey, wait a minute, now we really need to start thinking about this.
And that's probably one of the only things that people in Fall River agree upon is
Right.
when something like this happens.
I think I agree with Madam Chairman, because this isn't the first church to be demolished, but it is the first church that made headlines on Channel 10 and Channel 12. I mean, we've demolished churches. It was St. William's, it was Blessed Sacrament, it was Tucker Street, it was St. Elizabeth's. I mean, this is
Right.
building up to a crescendo here, and it's being noticed.
Well, one of the things that really bothered me was there was an article in the Herald News, and the developer had said that there wasn't a need for, you know, that it wasn't lucrative financially to put effort into turning them into anything else, and they needed more single family. But if you look and you look at some of the other developers that are taking over even some of the mills, and how lucrative these mills are becoming, with people just, some of them actually have waiting lists for apartments in some of the older mills. And I know that on Pine Street, the old St. Roch's Church was turned into apartments. And to say that can't be done.
And what about
in a
Sacred Heart, the
church.
Sacred Heart Rectory, which is very big and could
Right.
easily accommodate multiple apartment areas.
But I mean, St. Roch's, the church itself,
yeah.
isn't, so
There's
there
another one.
really is, and I think sometimes it's just a matter of the developer doesn't really want to spend the money, and I think it would be helpful if we had sort of a feeling in the city and an administration that was on board with trying to get these developers to see why these things are important in the city. And I'm hoping that we see a little more effort on the parts.
Definitely the wrong developer for that property, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
There's got to, I mean, I think I'm in, obviously, I'm in marketing, so I always think in terms of, you know, giving people the benefits. And it would, I don't know what department, I guess, I suppose it would be like the economic development area of the Fall River government, but giving them some kind of a sheet that says these are the benefits to historical preservation, and the, you know, the things that it not only adds to the community, but then going back to the fact that you can make luxury housing and whatnot. So kind of highlighting that instead of not the hassle, but, you know, all the restrictions that come with it, kind of not focusing on the negative, which is a much larger theme in general. But
Right. And we really do have developers here in the city that do realize those things. I mean, we're giving letters of support to two of them, and we have others, you know, that have taken properties and realize even Mr. and Mrs. Jacobson have done that, and they've taken an old building and made it into apartments, and, you know, all of those things, especially if you get local people to work, you're putting money into the local economy, because when they're working in these buildings, you have people that are gonna frequent the businesses, you may be hiring people from the community, so I mean, everybody benefits, and it's just something people really need to see more. So, I mean, in our presentation, again, that's something
Like
that
a case study or something, some just, you know, highlighting some of the big wins or the notable projects that really could maybe have people looking at Fall River in the good way, instead of having the news come down to see a destruction of a building, come here to see some great stuff that we did, which would be nice.
You would, absolutely. So I guess at this point, we can take this off the agenda, because there's nothing else to say, it's down to. Okay, moving on, so 447 Milton, they had requested a letter for demolition, and it is not on the register, it was not on the register. There's no reason to have it on there, so I gave them a letter saying that it was not on the register. And 510 Herman Street, also, what they were looking for was to add solar panels to the roof of the property, but again, that property was not on the Fall River register, so I just gave them a letter saying that it wasn't on the register. Request for exemptions, we do not have any. Number 9, advisory review. So these I'm probably going to skim through really quickly, because I haven't had a chance to do much on any of this, because I've been working on a lot of the other stuff going on. So nominations or revisions to the Fall River Register of Significant Structures. Right now, we have none. If any of you do, if any of you see any properties that are not on the register that you think would be good to put on the register, just bring that to our attention, and then maybe we can send something out to the owners, but just keep your eyes open for things that are not. Oak Grove Cemetery and North Burial Ground, Park Cemetery Subcommittee update. I have no update. There still is no Historical Commission member on the Park Department. So I think that another meeting with the mayor would probably be a good idea to go over some of these issues that are still kind of outstanding, because we did talk with him about this, and he said that he was going to work on that, and as of yet, we don't.
Should we wait till after the election?
Well, yeah, I mean, our next, because we'll need to get together some things to talk about anyway. I'm just saying to put this on maybe for the next agenda, to talk about things that we want to talk about with a meeting with the mayor, so we'll add that next agenda. Mayor. Items.
May I just ask what, because I know this has been mentioned at the last couple meetings regarding the park department, what's the whole, because I believe, didn't Rick say that he would be on it?
He did, and
Yeah.
we did mention that, and so far nothing.
wasn't
So
sure what it
I
was.
don't know what the holdup is.
Okay.
But the park department right now, as what I understood, was full. There were no openings, but the problem was we were supposed to have somebody on there, and this was something that Connie and I had talked with the mayor about, so he said he was gonna see what he could do, and as of now, nothing.
I understand.
So, yeah.
It would definitely make, because there's no historic representation on the, well, that's not good.
Nope, not a one. Okay, Kennedy Park benches letter to Mass Historical Commission. Again, that's something that I will need to still speak with Nancy Smith about, and I haven't had a chance to do that. Scenic roads,
Working on
I
it.
know that, yep. Mass Historical Commission for Parks renovation project, again, that's something I need to talk with Nancy about. Bank Street Armory, I have no update on that as of now, that's still sort of in limbo, I guess, with the mayor, and again, that's something that we can ask him. He had given us an update, but we can ask on that again the next time. PowerPoint presentation for neighborhood groups. So, am I on the agenda for March?
I'll give you a call.
Okay. So I may be on the agenda for March for the Lower Highlands, if not, then April?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Can I ask for clarification on that? Is that project ready to go? The PowerPoint presentation?
It is ready to go. All I have to do is just plug in a couple more pictures, and I need some help with that, and I'm gonna ask Mr. Silver if he can help me
Okay.
with that at some point. It's just a little tweaking that I need help with. Okay.
I'd love to know the date so I can see you present.
Oh, I'm gonna have
Okay.
one of you come with me.
Okay, all right.
When I have a date, so
I
anybody.
feel like I just volunteered
whoever-
myself.
So I
I
will.
think that this is, it will be welcome.
think
Yeah,
Just
I don't
always
wanna
really
do
wants
this,
to do
I don't wanna do this by
Okay,
myself,
okay,
so,
okay.
right now, if I can have somebody that wants to come with me on the first one, it's gonna be for the Lower Highlands, and it's either gonna be the first Wednesday
It
in
is the
March,
first
or
Wednesday.
the first Wednesday in April, whichever one.
We're just not sure what we, that's
Okay.
what our problem is.
I think the neighborhoods and the senior groups, and they'll just thrive on it.
Oh, yeah,
So
and
true.
I've already talked to Carlos Caesar from the Neighborhood Association, he's also on board with that as well, so, it's just a matter of I've gotta reach out to the different, so, the Lower Highlands had said they wanted to be the first, so, that's what we're gonna do, so if somebody would like right now to tell me that you wanna come with me on the first one, then I will get you up to speed.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'll be glad to.
If I'm free, I will go as well.
Absolutely,
I'm
we're ready.
very
Awesome.
interested in it.
I'll already be there, so
So-
it counts.
Yeah.
It's turning into a party if anybody else wants to go.
Well, the thing is that we can't have more than 3, because then we would be violating open meeting.
Oh, okay, so if he's
Because
there,
Larry's already there,
Oh,
because he's
okay.
already on their board, so,
I'll go to the
so
next
I
one.
will need one, so who wants to be the first?
I'm not sure what my
Sure.
schedule is, so
I'm available, as I
Okay.
say, I think,
I will
I
try
think
to
this
go to
would be an
another one.
eye-opener to the citizens of Fall
Okay.
River.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing the PowerPoint.
Now, I'll send it to you, because I have it, the only thing that's not in there are the pictures,
Great.
because I have to put the new pictures in, but I will send that, so. Okay, so you will be my,
I'll be glad to
and at some point,
join the team.
you're all
You'll be
gonna
the
do,
first.
because I don't wanna go to
Mhm.
every single
Oh, no,
one
that's
and
not fair.
present,
No.
you know, so you guys are gonna have to be able to do a little bit of the talking too, so I'm sure you will. I'm sure
Yeah.
No problems with that. Okay, so, good, so we got that. So signs on historic properties, that Rick, I know, has been working on that, and he will be back for the March meeting. So he's under, so he will be back.
There are very many qualified people that would be able to present on this presentation on PowerPoint. I'm thinking of someone like Ken Champlin. He knows a lot about buildings and a lot about housing. So there's many talented people in Fall River that will be able to participate.
Oh, absolutely. So 1 Weaver Street, preserving the smokestack, so that I have not had a chance to do that letter yet, but I will be working on that. Historic District Commission merger, as of now, I have heard nothing from the ordinance committee on the merger. I know that city council had sent it to ordinance, and until we hear anything, we are still 2 separate committees.
Do we have to follow up on that, or how do we check on that, or?
We can. I'm not sure, I don't know if Tony Dias has checked on that, because with the Historic District Commission, he may already have, but I haven't had a chance to talk to him. So, because I know he's very much on board with merging the 2, so he probably would know. North Park feasibility study, I can just actually take this off. I did speak with Chris Gallagher about that, so that actually that's something he talked with Nancy about, and I guess they're working on it.
It's good.
JKL, so Durfee Bell's removed in violation of chapter 38. I am going to address this under new business because this actually ties in with one of the new business issues. So we can move on to new business. The old police station at 158 Bedford Street. So an update on that. I was told that, I know when Connie had originally talked to the administration about replacing the column that had been damaged, the administration said they were not looking to do that, and apparently that is not true. So right now, the column is with a company. Do you know the name of the company? Do you want to come down for, because I know you have a little more of the details. I did speak with.
I took notes.
I did speak with Chris Gallagher today, and he did give me the basics. Is that the column is at a company right now that deals specifically with granite, and that it's going through the insurance, and right now I guess the city is trying to go through the insurance company of the person who caused the accident in the first place, and but they have Geico insurance, so he's not really sure what's going to happen there. So they have.
They gotta get the little guy, the little gecko.
He's not in charge, he doesn't like
They
his
do.
reservation.
So the city has another, a company that it basically goes after, it follows up on insurance companies. So right now it's sort of in the press. Yeah, so I
Yeah,
know
I have notes and
if you want to
names
give
and
your
stuff.
Names.
Alex Silva, 649 Alden Street. I just called Chris Gallagher a week or two ago. Well, I called the mayor's office first, just asking about the column and if the money was actually not going to be used for it. And I was told to the contrary, which led me to a conversation with Chris Gallagher. And I can just go through my notes that I got from him. He said they're currently in discussions with the insurance. The person responsible for the accident did have Geico, and we're not quite sure if it will cover the entire cost of replacement. He said it takes about 3 months to get these kinds of answers for the insurance. They already have it's from the company that should be replacing it is Granite of America in Smithfield, Rhode Island. They already have some prices. Chris Gallagher said that ideally he wants the replacement to be a single piece. It's a 6,400 pound column. The single piece would cost approximately $36,000, and that's what he prefers. Otherwise, they might have to do it in two pieces, which would cost $26,650. And from what I understand, that's the amount that the person responsible for the accident will have to cover. It was made from pink granite originally, cut in one piece. It cannot be repaired because it was broken into three pieces. The base with the decorative edges in the corner were completely smashed and crushed into dust, he said, so that's why it can't be fixed. The company, Granite of America, I guess what the material they're going to be using is called New Milford Pink Polished Granite. And the company that I guess the city's going through to either collect or whatever. It's called Bartlett Conciliation LLC.
Yeah.
And he said it's made up of retired state troopers who kind of just do this for a living. Yeah, and they're waiting for the final report from Bartlett, which will then go to the legal department about collecting.
What he had said to me today was that it was more than likely going to be in a two-part because it would be too difficult to get, like physically to get the one part
He said
up, so.
you would have to lower it by a crane, he said, if it was one
So he
piece.
said more than likely they were gonna go with a two-part, but he had said the two-part, I thought, was the 39,000, and if they did one piece, it was actually gonna double.
These are the numbers he gave me no more than 2 weeks ago, so it might have changed.
Because, well, I know today he had said they were looking at doing it in the two-part because the one part was just gonna be too expensive and too difficult to get there because with the crane, they would need to do it, so.
Yeah.
So with this effort of going after the insurance and fixing the columns, does this mean they're trying to save the building?
He did not say that.
I actually said that's what my hope was, and he said they've actually had a couple people look at it recently, so
Oh, he didn't tell me that.
this is what he told me, so I don't know.
Well, I
How
just
true.
was saying, he's on vacation, so he's like in a hurry when I talked to him today, but yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I told him, ideally, I have a pipe dream of the building being saved.
So I
and-
can't see spending almost $40,000 in a number of building that.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what one would think.
This
That
is
is good news. That's not a pipe dream, that is a good dream to have. We all have that team.
Yeah.
So,
Excellent.
So, yeah, it's just a little update.
thank you.
Thank you for your work on this.
Okay, so I'm gonna actually move the police station to advisory review, that way, we can keep it on there and get updates on them. So, the new business, New Durfee High School Historic Subcommittee. So now, this goes along with the bells that were dismantled. So I did talk with Mr. Gallagher about that last month, or, yeah, it was last month, maybe the month before. So he put me in touch with a gentleman by the name of Adam Keene, he is involved in the new Durfee High School. And he is the one who, he told me that they didn't realize about notifying us about the bells, but they are aware now that that has to be done. So he did, he gave me more information. He said the bells are in storage right now. They're in a place that is specifically meant for, I think he said it was in New Jersey, I'm not.
They're in New Jersey.
It's not around here. I want to say it's New Jersey or somewhere. The bells are being stored.
Who are the members of that subcommittee, do we know?
I don't know, there's a few people on it, but I did get invited to the meeting, so I'm hoping, the only problem is it happens while I'm at work, so I'm hoping that I can leave work to go to the next one. I wasn't able to go to the first one that they had, but they, what he did send me was some of the things that they've been discussing, and they have talked about the new observatory and the telescope, which is on the historic register. So when that happens, they know that they will have to notify us and how it's going to be done. But he did send me a lot of information, historical information, just on the observatory and the telescope itself, and then what they're going to do. So I don't think I emailed that to everybody, did I? Okay, I can send that around to you because it's really interesting reading on it, but it's a lot. It's really in-depth, and there's a lot of drawings and things. And there's also a drawing of the building itself and what they're going to do, like how they're going to house the observatory in the new building, and they're hoping that they can actually have the public use it more than they do right now. So some of the items that they're looking at for in the group is the future plans for the bells and the plans for the bell committee pavers and benches. And then another thing that they've talked about, and this was something that Mr. Gallagher had talked to me about, and also Adam Keene had talked about, was using artifacts, and I do have pictures of that as well, that were taken from the King Philip Mill. And they're actually going to use these in the new Durfee. And it's, there's different things that they're using, some of the reclaimed wood and some of the treads on the stairs. There's these pulley systems that they're taking out, and they're gonna clean everything up, and then they're gonna put them, a lot of it is gonna be in the Trade Winds restaurant. And they wanna have murals, different murals throughout the building depicting different things about the history of Fall River and some of the mills and and that, so they want to tie that's more history in with this new building, and I know it doesn't look exactly like the original Durfee building, but they're trying to make it look more historic to what the building had originally looked like, as opposed to what the current Durfee looks like. So, so there is a lot of that. So that's one of the reasons why they have this committee, is because they're talking about that, using a lot of these historical artifacts, which I think is nice, considering what Durfee actually now is
Yes,
like, and there is nothing whatsoever historical. They also are going to reuse some of the granite from the seawall down at the Taunton River that they had taken from there, and that was donated, and they're going to be using that. And that's actually on the property right now, so they're going to be using that as well. And then they're going to reuse some of the existing monuments and plaques and areas that were dedicated, and they're going to reuse those as part of the building as well. So these are the things that they talk about, and so when I do go to one of the meetings, I'll have more information. But if you all have any questions that I can ask when I do go, or I can even ask Adam Keene, and he said he's happy to answer any questions.
Is that the left field company? You said Adam?
Adam Keene.
Adam Keene, and he's with Left Field, am I right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I'd like to see that after the meeting, if you would.
Oh, this was just the email. This was one little section on the telescope, but I can send you everything because it has all the in the email that I have, has all the drawings for the telescope, the actual building, and that, so I can send that. I'll send that around to all of you.
Okay, please.
I wonder if at some point in the future, when they have some updates, we might want to invite them just to hear what some of their plans are, or I'm not sure if that's how we do sometimes.
We can do that, absolutely.
Just because I think it's really admirable that they've already got such extensive plans in place and very specific plans, and it seems very thoughtful. So
Yep.
I'm kind of interested in that, because that's always an interesting study to see what they're doing.
Yeah. I know right now they're in
That's
the more preliminary phase, so I do want to go to one of the meetings just to see what they have planned. But does anyone have any questions?
Just
for
when is
him?
that next meeting? The reason I'm bringing this up is that I've been involved with him on the man murals and the relocation of the digital copies of those murals in the New Durfee building. The last time that was discussed was probably about a year ago at a meeting. So I'd be curious to see if that is on his agenda.
I can even ask him that.
I'll be glad to cover that if you're not able to do it, Kristen.
That would be great, actually, because if I can't, then yeah, that would be perfect.
Yeah,
I'm hoping to attend one, but I mean, if we can both
I'd be
go, and then
glad to.
for any of the ones that I
As
can't
say,
attend, if you want to go.
I'm not aware of the fact that there was a subcommittee, historic subcommittee.
Because I think they just formed this recently.
Well, that's good, because that issue has been percolating for a couple of years now, and it's an important addition to the school. And originally, the idea was to give us some space there in the atrium for the digital copies of the murals. So that's another project that is part of this historic definition.
He didn't mention the manners, he just mentioned that there were going to be historic photos and murals that they wanted to put throughout the building,
Right.
so maybe.
I was hoping it wasn't throughout the building, because the focus that we were looking at was a continuity, historic continuity, not a picture here and there, but to see the continuity of the development of Fall River from the Wampanoag Indians all the way through to manufacturing as a continuity, not as a
Maybe
photo,
it is, and maybe I just
So
misunderstood.
that's
Yeah.
my issue.
Okay. I'll ask him. I'll email him and I'll ask him, but I'll send you what he sends me. I'll send it to everybody so that you all can see when I find out the next. You know what, maybe. Okay. Date, let me see. For some reason I think I just got, oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, okay, this is something different. No, sorry, this is something different. So I don't have a new date yet? But when I do, because the one that just passed was the last week, I believe, or the week before. It was, I think, the second week of February. And I wasn't able to make it to that meeting because it was short notice for me and I wasn't able to take the time off, but. So does anybody else have any questions or anything you want me to ask him or find out or thoughts or?
Open discussion?
Yeah, we could, well, as long as everybody's
No, I
all
don't.
set on the subcommittee? We all set?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's,
Okay.
I thought we would be.
No, open discussion, so anything that anybody.
Well, I don't have any more information from Richard Alfonso on saving St. Anne's Church. In January, Bishop DeCunha was in Rome, rather in Brazil, and now he's in Rome. He's in Rome for the worldwide meeting of bishops. So Richard does not have, I've been in touch and following with him, and he does not have any new information, and he has not been able to connect to the diocese on a meeting.
So I read something that there was gonna be a public meeting on February 25th with an update from the Preservation, the St. Anne's Preservation Society.
Really? I didn't see that.
February 25th is supposed to be.
And do you know where that is?
I don't, I would have to see if I can find it again.
I'll email him and ask.
Yeah. It was just something that I saw really quick
I think
somewhere.
I saw that
It
too.
was somewhere
It was in
on,
Herald News.
was it the Herald News?
Might have been, I think I saw the same thing.
Yeah, but I don't remember where the meeting.
You can maybe just put it in the search in the Herald News and anything with that phrase, it'll pull it up, so.
Unless, did I screenshot it? Maybe I
I
screenshot
feel like I
it.
might have seen it on Facebook actually.
Let me just check. Yeah, all, I do remember that that was the date of it. No, I didn't. No, I thought maybe I did, but I didn't.
Well, I'll follow up on it.
Yeah, he's having a meeting somewhere, on the 25th.
They usually meet at Bedford Street at the VFW.
Oh, yeah, that's where it is.
That might be where it is.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Okay, follow up
So
on
the
it.
25th, that's,
Okay,
I don't know the
that's
time or anything, I just remember the date.
Piecing it together.
Okay. So if that's the case, are you gonna be able to go?
Yes, it is. So I'll be looking to attend that. I'll do my best.
Okay, and if so, then if you wanna put that on the next agenda, just email me and.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else have anything for discussion? Okay, our next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, March 19th at 6:30 in this room. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And good night.